Hello, everyone. I'm Rene Gasana. I'm an architect and medical planner with Build Health International, BHI. And today we are going to talk about climate responsive design, specifically on Rwanda local design strategies. Thank you. Let's go. This was based on local experience, regional projects, and I will be sharing with you some strategies that was actually put together by Rwandan architectural industry and regional wise. I'm talking about East Africa in general and any other parts in tropics of Africa. I would start by explaining a little bit about this key consideration. As we're in the tropics, we sometimes have a little bit unique climate or unique weather context that require understanding how the weather, how the sun, how the wind works in this region. So one of the four or five key design consideration is understanding solar shading, natural ventilation, daylighting or natural lighting, and understanding the weather protection. That's in terms of we have a lot of rainy season here. Rain protection is a must in the tropics. Another thing is understanding the thermal mass because air conditioning it's not typical here. So people would do rather use thermal comfort conditions using the thermal mass for many typical construction. We understand there are some special cases, but in a typical institutional or if I can say public building, people will be using this thermal mass strategy. So I would like to refresh you about the tropical zones. The tropical zone climate remains relatively uniform, which is different from temperate zones where they face varying conditions that may require different design considerations. Any place between these two tropics, tropics of Cancer and Capricorn, the sun comes directly from overhead due to our proximity to the equatorial position. That actually make our climate have warm temperature, high humidity, and regular rainfall across the year. So this results into minimum seasonal variation, which is different from other parts of the world like far north and far south, where they may have pronounced seasonal changes like colder winters, warm summers that require more architectural adaptation in terms of insulation and heating and cooling. So the same tropical zones may affect other parts of the world, but today I would like to focus more of East African part of the tropics where Rwanda belongs. And it's actually the zone where we have Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. I'm going to start with the solar shading. So the solar shading is a must. We are having a direct solar light or solar, if I can say, energy on us because we are actually within the area where we are closer to the equator. And during the midday, you will realize that the sun is on top of your head. So it means the house has unlimited exposure to the sun during the day. And also, we are going to have absolutely no sun during the night. So it means the easy and affordable way to control this is not to have extensive wall insulation, stuff like that. But if you can have a shading, because the humidity is not an issue, when someone is sitting in the shade, the sun is no longer an issue. So this developed these five principles, like how you oriented the building. You oriented the building to reduce having a direct east and west main facades or main elevations, because that's where the windows are, in order to avoid having glass or glazing directed to the sun so that you can accumulate the whole heat within the house. Another thing is to having the roof overhangs. Roof overhangs is projected overhangs to shade the windows or shade the walls so that someone sitting inside can have thermal comfortable spaces. Another thing about the roof, one thing that people don't think about is roof coloring. But as you know, if you use a very dark or black color, that accumulates a lot of heat. But when you use a shiny or very light roof color or roof finishing, that will reflect the solar radiation and will help reduce the radiant heat transfer to interior spaces. Another thing that people use mostly for institutional projects like classrooms, hospitals is double roof, where you have the second skin beneath the roof so that there is this level of a vacuum created between upper roof that is going to be like an umbrella protecting that radiant temperature and help ensuring that the skin underneath and the entire building underneath has the better indoor or comfort level. Another thing is to take leverage of landscaping. Like you can still use trees or plantings to make sure that that softscape can be used to shade the building. It's like the opposite reaction of what the sun is doing to the house. In terms of massing, there is a thumb rule. You cannot have every site well oriented to achieve this north-south orientation, but at least you need to make sure that you are within this 15 and 20 degrees of orienting your building. So when you are 10 west to north or 20 east to north, you are still within the context. If you can see this sketch, the one that has a thick line is like a good site orientation, but the one with dotted one is actually like ideal site orientation because you are trying to avoid having this east-west direct sunlight to this main facade. So everywhere you can achieve it, please avoid having east-west orientation. Another thing is mass orientation. Mass orientation again is like after orienting the building, what if you are having like more than one block, like you're having two blocks? Again, you need to make sure that the other building is next to another, does not shed unnecessary shadow to the other building or does not block the direct sunlight. We don't need to avoid it completely because we need the natural light within the house. The things that have been tested is that if you have the height of the building and you multiply it by 2.5 of it, that's a good spacing between block to another because that can allow better ventilation between those two blocks and can even allow access to the natural light penetration. Another thing is adopting to topography. Sometimes people will try to go with the topography when you are in the hilly area because there is also this level of uphill and bottom hill breezes, but you have to make sure that you are kept within these 25 degrees. Another thing that is not relevant to the solar shading, but I need to also talk about is the recommended flow. We are in Rift Valley region, so that means we are going to have some seismic activities within this region. So needs also to be talked about. So when you are having more than two floors, we call it G+1 or ground floor and another floor above. In most of the cases, there is this like regional geotech standards that is known so that you can use and you don't need to have some seismic studies. But when you are above 3 floors, up to 4 floors, you need to have not just like foundation study, but you need also to start considering the lateral roads, not only the vertical roads. That's when the seismic activities or seismic design needs to be also added. So this is the examples of what I was talking about, like orienting the building, making sure that you have enough overhangs. This is one of the projects we have in Rwanda in a district called Kayonza. It's a good example of how you can use overhangs to create shades to the building. Another thing is roof coloring, as I was saying. Another thing is double roof. This is a school where because of the heat, the architect had to have a masonry roof, but they had to have another skin on top that looks like an umbrella to protect the heat gained in these interior spaces. Another thing is the usage of trees or plantings as another source of shadings. Climbing plants can be used to shade the exposed windows and the walls actually. Like for example, when you find yourself you oriented your building well, but you still have these walls exposed to east-west orientation. You can still use the greenscape or softscape to actually minimize the heat gain. Thank you for attending this presentation about climate responsive design on solar shading. Next, we will be talking about natural ventilation. Thank you.